All right, y'all. Here we are. Once again, it's your boy Brian Forbes, and we are here on The Black Factor. Y'all, we're going to tackle a very controversial topic tonight. We're going to talk about it in practical terms, though. We ain't going to sugarcoat it, and we're going to keep it where it belongs, 100. Y'all know how it is. You know what it is. So let me first start by saying welcome, everybody. Welcome, Black Factor family. My Black Factor folks who like to hang out over here and gain a little bit of this knowledge. First of all, do not forget, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube, my YouTube family. Don't forget to hit them subscribe buttons. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to hit the likes. You can catch us on Twitch as well. And do not forget, y'all, support black media. Also, to my Oh So Smooth radio family, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. My man Shorty Smooth over there, the Oh So Smooth captain of the ship. What's up, my man? And in case you want to know, you can get that at Play Store and on iTunes, so that you can get that app. You can follow the Oh So Smooth radio family because they play a lot of good music over there too, y'all. So keep that in mind while you're doing your thing. All right. So in the meantime, tonight, y'all, we have a very special guest host. Sister X has returned, and she has a lot to say, y'all. Why? Because we are discussing a topic that, again, is extremely controversial, yet very, very important. And because of recent events in politics, y'all know what it is. So rather than BS around, we're going to get straight into it. So let me introduce my guest, the now infamous, famous, and always controversial and extremely hilarious, Sister X, y'all. Welcome, Sister X.
What's up? What's up?
How are you this evening, young lady?
I'm doing great. Glad to be back. Glad to be back. Thank you for
Well,
having
we're glad to have you back. And we have to put your silhouette. Just so y'all know, Sister X's silhouette is up because, she has to remain anonymous for various reasons. The feds is looking for her. No, I'm just playing.
me. Right.
she
They're out to get me all.
she got to be more
My
careful.
assigned FBI agent is
She got to be more careful. Yeah, that she ain't off that ankle monitor yet, y'all. We gotta be. She got that ankle monitor on. So y'all, wait a minute. Before we get into that, right quick, I want to talk about something right quick. Social media and old folks. I think we're gonna do a whole show about that next week. I want to talk about social media and old people and
elders.
the black image.
Do you
well-
want to call them old people? Do they like
Well-
being called old people?
Anybody that's not dealing with the internet is old people. I'm gonna just put it like that.
Okay.
So regardless of their physical age.
Their actual age. Yeah, I
Right,
know some
right.
young old people did. So.
Well, I think the thing about that is that, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because as of late, I've talked to a few older individuals who don't do social media and other things on the internet, and I'm realizing, well, I've realized a long time ago, they often end up behind the eight ball, behind in so many other things that they think they don't need, yet it has become quite clear that unless you are functioning within the now metaverse universe, internet world, you are not fully functioning in society. Now, if you're just one of those people and you're reclusive and you're somewhat of a hermit and you back in the corner and then cool. But I think it's going to be important. And I say this, and I'm bringing this up because this is going to be a future topic, but I'm bringing it up mainly because I had a conversation with somebody over the weekend and we were discussing the necessity for the black image to be controlled. And this internet allows us to be able to do that to a very large degree. Think about it. People ain't watching TV like they used to. People are now moving more toward YouTube and other streaming services that allow them to have or access information on different levels rather than just the so-called boob tube. Sister X over here, I happen to know for a fact, is one of those people who lives a large portion of her life on the internet.
I'll never be free.
Yeah, you'll never be free. Hey, Sandy Paris, how you doing? Thompson and Val Wells, I see y'all. Thank you for checking in. And because people, you got some people who live it to the extreme all the time, and you got some people who don't deal with it at all. They're kind of reclusive when it comes to that. But I think people need to realize the necessity and the power in being able to. For example, myself, I've created this platform I've been able to create this platform and produce information and provide information to people by using this. And it's a very powerful tool. So with that said, we'll move on. Y'all, how do you feel? And feel free to respond in the comments. How do you feel about the new potentially volatile decision that may come down from the Supreme Court about Roe versus Wade? Now, for anyone who doesn't know what Roe versus Wade is, that is the law of the land, if you will, decided by the Supreme Court back in 1973 that allows women the freedom to make choices in regard to their own reproductive health care. And that law, as we have recently found in the last few days through a leaked memo, has the potential to be eliminated, thereby disallowing women the right to control their reproductive systems in their own bodies. Because your government has decided that you are not capable of making those decisions for yourself. Now, Sister X, do you have an assessment as to why something like this has the potential to even, or why has it been an issue all these decades and still an issue?
Well, I don't know. There's so many angles we could take with this.
Oh, I agree with that.
I mean, we could start in ancient times, I feel like we don't even need to go that far back, but it's just been, at least for the last 5,000 years, women are supposed to be private property or public property, depending on however the society is going. And so, producing children for the nation and the country is, I think always a cornerstone of the world system we've had for like the last.
Well, only in recent years, and when I say recent years, I'm talking really within the last 100, not even quite, that women in this particular country and in many others still don't have, but in this country have just recently been recognized as equal citizens or people who are capable of maintaining their own lives.
Yes.
Because you think about the history of the world, how long has the world itself and our civilization been in existence? And then you think about, when have women's rights ever been not more than a forethought or an afterthought?
Yeah, most cultures, and this is everywhere, are very abusive to women and girl children, like to the extreme. So, I don't know. I mean,
Phyllis Powell responded here, says that if they eliminate that law, we will go back to table abortions for many. And a lot of people, I don't think, know what that is. And in fact, it's been, a couple of generations away from this law.
Yes, I've never heard. Oh, yeah, so we had since the 70s.
And that there was a time where women were performing, or what they would call backroom abortions. And they were very dangerous, and women were losing their lives for various reasons in regard to that. And that was part of the reason why the law had been decided in that time. And it was necessary for people to be able to, or women to be able to make the choices on their own without the hand of the government being involved. Now, let's go back right quick. Found out today that 1821, Connecticut was the very first state to pass a statute banning abortion. And you have to ask yourself, and it's really strange, but one thing that I think I found out, and I found this out several years ago, but they actually had forms of birth control and contraception in ancient times. So that's always been kind of a thing, but people always say that stuff fails sometimes.
And that also was banned when the Catholic Church took power, or at least in Roman countries or Roman colonized countries. So then but there have been times where the Catholic Church was fine with it, if you're just looking at it from the Christian perspective. So it's gone back and forth.
Right. Well, let's see. Donna Peak says, poor folks will suffer. The wealthy and privileged will always have safe options regardless of the law.
Absolutely.
Trust and believe. Now, that part is true. And it's always been that way. In fact, the numbers being reported through the CDC and other organizations are only reported that way because of the access to health care for people who have resources more than people who don't. So we know that that thing is. But here's the funny part. I think that those chickens, more or less, are now coming home to roost, because the real question becomes, why? Why is this now suddenly? I mean, it's been an issue, but why now? Why now is this becoming the hotbed of topic? Because of, is it politics? Is it, well, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that it is. I have my resident feminist on, Bessie Taylor, and she says women can't get a break.
No.
Bessie, don't you start no trouble on this show today.
I agree with Bessie. Keep starting stuff.
My resident troublemaker over there. So in 1868, abortion by itself was not legal before quickening in 27 out of 37 states. Altogether, 30 of the 37 states and 6 of the 10 U.S. territories had codified laws which restricted abortion, along with the Kingdom of Hawaii, where abortion had once been common. Every state had abortion legislation by 1900. So this has been a hot topic throughout almost the inception of these colonies, this country, these United States. Smooth Edie says, what I don't understand is why is it that women want to control other women's movement?
Because they are what I like to call penis panderers. So they are in the cult of the penis. And so anything that men want, you know, they serve that agenda. They serve the agenda of men. They could care less about the stuff that other women go through, in my opinion.
Okay, so in other words, they're like the gatekeepers for the male, for masculinity.
Yes, we call them Pygmies.
The Pygmies, the Pygmy crowd.
Pygmishas. Okay. But, you know.
Pygmisha, I like that.
Yeah. You know, the women that are always like, I'm not like the other girls.
Belinda Williams and Bessie Taylor both state, one says they are running out of white people. Bessie Taylor says, since Karen's bloodline is dying and they want to bring back pure WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. And Donna says, yes, supporting the patriarchy, the white women are the worst. Okay, so we're going to get to that part.
I think all women are. Well, yeah, okay. I'll be quiet. Because I feel like every community of women likes to support the patriarchy in their own way. Like, we could go down the board and show what that looks like. But I agree, like, with her point overall. That's all I was going to say.
Okay, so here's the thing now. And I want to read y'all these statistics right quick, because these are from the vital statistics system in the United States. The U.S. general fertility rate declined by 1%. Now, I'm giving you statistics, and I'm giving you these numbers from 2019. Declined by 1% in 2019 to 58.3 births per 1,000 women aged 15 to 44, from 59.1 in 2018. Rates declined for non-Hispanic white, non-Hispanic black, and Hispanic women. The percentage of mothers beginning prenatal care in the first trimester of pregnancy increased from 2018 to 2019 among non-Hispanic white and non-Hispanic black women, but decreased among Hispanic women. Medicaid, as the source of payment for the delivery, declined from 42.3% to 42.1% from 2018 to 2019. The preterm birth rate rose 2% from 2018 to 2019, from 10.2% to 10.23. Rates rose for each race and Hispanic origin group. Now, here's, and this is where I think we're really getting into it. Before I go down that particular rabbit hole, let me say this. I was going over and checking these different rates and things. And what I found was that if this thing is overturned, because apparently with this leaked information from one of the court justices, that they are poised to potentially overturn Roe v. Wade. A map was shown on a local Chicago station that says This is a map from the Center for Reproductive Rights and Abortion, and this is accessed by state. Abortion legal status if Roe versus Wade ends. Now, the blue are protected states. So anywhere damn near on the West Coast, a few places in between, and all the way to the far East Coast. Now, everything yellow is not protected, which that's only New Mexico. It's an unprotected state. Now, to protect the banned states are all in red, which is the majority of the country. Now, pay attention that the majority of the red states are exactly that, red states. The blue are exactly that, blue
I feel like
states.
we need to talk about the red states, but I want to
Political
I want you to
division.
finish
Okay.
before
And then the orange are restricted states. So in other words, you can't have abortions, but with some sort of a caveat. Go ahead and say what you were going to say.
So if you notice, at least with as far as the southern red states, my thing with them is we know that they are pro-slavery. They were slave states.
Exactly.
And we know that slave states made their money off of raping women and forcing black women to have kids they did not want. And so it does not surprise me that they do not believe in any woman's reproductive freedom. Like, the whole wealth of slave states was built off of the wombs of black women.
Ain't that amazing?
Yes.
Now, since you bring that up, and I'm glad you did, let's also talk about states' rights. Now, if you remember, just last week we were having a conversation about states' rights as it pertained to guns. Now, states' rights was put into place in order to actually maintain slavery. Now, a lot of people, you'll hear folks on the other side say things like, oh, no, it was so that the states weren't controlled by big government. Yet, it's big government that is deciding for individuals what they should and shouldn't do with their bodies. Now, these are the same people that don't want the government in your business. Now, with states' rights, it gives them the opportunity to have these right-wing legislatures within these southern states.
The Christian Taliban.
The Christian Taliban. You come up with some wild ones, I tell you.
That one was from Twitter. I cannot take credit for that.
Oh.
But that's what they call them.
So it gives these states the opportunity to strike, to circumvent some federal laws. And now, and this is right here. Now let me show y'all. We're going into election season, midterm elections. I really need y'all to understand just how important voting is. Now let me show you how important voting is. Had the majority populace of this country got out and voted during the Trump elections of between Trump and who did he run against that year? I don't even remember. The first Trump election, if we had voted and Trump was never in office, it was Hillary Clinton, and Trump had never made it to office, we would not be having this discussion right now. We're having this discussion because of the underhanded, dirty, backdoor dealing of Mitch McConnell, who insisted that it was not necessary to appoint a Supreme Court justice during Barack Obama's term because it was so late in his presidency, we'll just wait until after the election, which was wrong, and the Democrats sat still while he did that.
Yes, let us drag them just for a moment.
Go ahead.
So I saw this great point on Twitter where they were like, what's her name, RBG or whatever. She was supposed to step down, but she didn't want to retire when Obama was in office so that she could pick or help pick the next person. And she didn't want to do that, only for her to end up, dying and leaving that seat open for it to get picked. And also the Democrats, this is their one wedge issue they can hold over Democratic voters. Like, obviously people are very displeased with them right now, and as we come up to the midterms and like the next 2024 election, this is like we'll save abortion, but it's like, what were y'all doing the last last 10 12 years, since I've been an adult? Like, I was able to vote for Obama, and it's like y'all have been twiddling your thumbs. Like, what did we vote for you for if y'all can't never like bring the hammer in? And I saw another great tweet. They were like, I would never trust an Irish Catholic white man with my reproductive health, in reference to Sleepy Joe up there. So, and I was like, that's a great point, because, they will act like, the Republicans are the villain, but really they're all working in tandem.
Exactly.
For for the same ends. Like, I don't think, and matter of fact, Nancy Pelosi and that,
Calm down.
I'm trying to behave, but the thing I couldn't say the first thing that came to my mind. What's his name? Rep. Clyburn or whatever. Like they're down here in Texas right now, like helping one of the anti-abortion Democrat candidates instead of backing the other person. What's his name? Cisneros, I think. But he's pro-choice. But because people be like, vote blue, the Democrats are gonna save us every election season. But here they are down here right now working against the agenda they claim that they are supposed to be working to support. And frankly, I will end this essay with mentioning that we need a third party because I'm tired. Yeah. We need a viable third party. Like we need freedom. Like this is not democracy. We're being held hostage. Our votes are being held hostage. Yeah, because they're both full of crap. Like in Tennessee, they're trying to lower the marriage rate for a girl, where the girls can get married as kids while you're also repealing abortion laws. Because did you not see that?
No.
They're trying to like
Wait a minute.
lower. Wait, let me look it up.
Yeah, look it up.
Something happened. So okay, hold on.
That's insane.
They're trying to basically bring child marriage back.
Then let me show you something. This is the slippery slope, because that topic came up with when they were talking about these men who were lobbying to make consensual sex among children acceptable or legal.
That should be a whole other show. But but to your point, that is going to be an ongoing issue coming up here, because there are so many moving parts to this, and it's like Roe versus Wade, they were saying, can open up a can of worms as far as privacy goes. Mm-hmm. Like, because then they said they might have to repeal, like, Loving versus Virginia, the birth control Supreme Court case. I can't, like, they're saying all of these could come up for review because Roe versus Wade, and I don't know much about constitutional law, so y'all correct me if I'm wrong.
It is. Hey, everyone.
Here comes the producer lady.
Hey, everyone. Tennessee marriage bill with no age limit sparks backlash over child. This was in April of 2022.
Yeah, so the proposed legislation would legalize child marriage in Tennessee, and usually what's going to happen is like young girls are going to get married to old men, because most of the girls, like teens that have to get abortions, the people that got them pregnant are adult men. They're at least like 5 to 10 years older than the teens.
Now, I'm glad that y'all brought that up, and here's why. Statistically speaking, right? Let's get into the real reason why this is taking place. At least the real reason why I think this is taking place. See, and that adds to that gives even more validity to my point right here. An article from Pew Research Center written all the way back in May of 2012 explains why minority births now outnumber white births. It's by Jeffrey Passel and Gretchen Livingston.
Wait, can we define minority? Did they define? Because they use that blanket statement.
They do define it.
Okay.
The nation's racial and ethnic minority groups, especially Hispanics, are growing more rapidly than non-Hispanic white population, fueled by both immigration, one of your favorite topics, and births. This trend has been taking place for decades, and one result is the Census Bureau's announcement. Wait a minute. The Bureau reported that minorities defined as anyone who is not single, see, this is what you was asking for, is not a single race non-Hispanic white. They made up 50.4% of the nation's population younger than age 1 on July 1st of 2011.
Wait, repeat this again.
Okay. The Bureau reported that minorities defined as anyone who is not a single race non-Hispanic white made up 50.4% of the nation's population younger than the age of 1 on July 1st, 11 years ago. 11 years ago. Now, think about that. That means that number has grown since then. Members of minority groups account for 49.7% of children younger than the age of 5, for 36.6% of the total population. The findings are included in the Bureau's first set of national population estimates since the 2010 census, when 49.5% of babies under the age of 1 were minorities. The long-term result of these changes among younger age groups is that non-Hispanic whites are projected to become the minority of the population, 47% by 2050, according to Pew Research Center population projections. In other words, white people will no longer be the majority in this country.
It won't be the first time.
Census Bureau projections, well, you're right. But this time, there's a different power structure. That's what makes the difference.
There isn't. Oh, okay.
Well-
Let me say, how do you define a different power structure?
Well, they're not enslaved.
I was just gonna say just not
That within itself is, they're not considered 3/5 of a man. They're considered whole people.
Well, but now we have other groups here that are not black. Like, they're not too worried about us, I don't think, anymore. Well, let me say this. When I say
don't
not
know.
too worried, politically not worried, but I also know that, like, this country and the races that have a hard on for us, they could literally be getting pickpocketed by everyone. And I mean literally any and everyone else. And they'll still be like, the black people did it. Like, like, even if it wasn't us, like, we could be nowhere at the
Look,
scene of
Bessie
the
Taylor
crime.
said, I believe minorities should be defined by income. At once upon a time it was. And do you know, Bessie Taylor, that is the very reason we have racism today? A lot of people don't know this, but before the colonies in this country formed into a union, there were a lot of wealthy Europeans and Spanish and other ethnicities here who were basically plantation owners, the same as what we are familiar with during chattel slavery. Prior to that, we had indentured servitude, but the problem was there were far more minorities who were basically farming for these plantation owners, and they were being treated badly. And this is why we had, and you got to do your history on this, there were a lot of rebellions. Those rebellions, and one in particular, which was very famous, was called Bacon's Rebellion, where what would happen is the indentured servants, the slaves, would rise up against the owners.
The Irish and the slaves combined on that one, right?
Right. And they would take their things. They would literally strip them of their wealth, take their land, kill them off, and say, okay, well, you know what? You didn't treat us right, so this is what you get. Well, the slave owner, I keep saying slave owners because at the time, even though they were sort of slave owners, they weren't really slave owners, but they were indentured.
The ruling class.
The ruling class, that's what they were, because they had the money and treated the poor people bad. You didn't have a middle class. There was no such thing. You either had money or you didn't. And so what happened was these revolts would keep taking place, and these people were afraid. So they then figured out a way to divide up the masses. And so they said, okay, let's take the white populace away from the black populace and give them a little bit more because they look like us. Take care of them a little bit better and tell them if they help us to maintain and control those others, then we can go about getting this money and they can do a little bit better than everybody else. This was the actual birth of what we now know as popular racism. So that there was a division by class, by income. So, and classism still exists even among them, even among themselves. So this was actually a thing. So yeah, you're right. Donna Peake says the concept of race is a construction of white landowners to keep poor whites and poor blacks from uniting. It worked for 400 years. Absolutely. It's still working. Don't get it twisted.
There's a great letter written by Benjamin Franklin, very not known U.S. history fact, but he is complaining about the other groups of Europeans that are not British and talk about they're too dark skinned and swarthy, and they're gonna come here and ruin the pink and lovelies. That's literally what he said. They're gonna come and ruin the pink. So even I guess their definition always for white here has been WASP, but they will move it. WASP being white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. That's why a lot of Ellis Island European people that came here, or the people that came through Ellis Island, excuse me, they would make their names Anglo-Saxon. They would, if they were Swedish or whatever, they would get rid of the, just anything that identified them as
Right. Well, according to the
WASP.
Census Bureau projections, Hispanics, already the nation's largest minority group, are projected to continue to account for most population growth by that year. Now, see, then this gets back into where this topic of abortion ties into immigration. The fact is, those two things coupled together, which are the hot button issues for Republicans, it also has to deal with the fact that the loss of control moving into the future. So if they stop people, particularly white women, from being able to have abortion. See, they're looking at the bigger picture. It's never been about, they try to make it like it's about the fetus.
They don't care about the
Well,
children.
well, and that's the way I feel about it. Because let me explain.
Poor children.
Here's the problem I have with those who choose so vigorously to try and make a decision for somebody else. How are you so adamantly, violently against abortion, but you allow executions? You allow police to kill people in the street. You sit back and watch while all of these violent things take place, and in fact commit many of these violent acts, and have done so for 400 years, have been a part of lynchings and everything else. But suddenly, you are so interested in being pro-life. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not sitting here in any way saying that abortion is right, but I'm also not saying that it's wrong, especially when we're dealing with circumstances that they have now tried to cut out. If some woman is raped by her father, and I've seen that in stories that I've read, by the police officer.
It's quite common.
We've seen that. It's quite common. There's a young lady on TikTok, as a matter of fact, that comes down my, in fact, I follow her. She's got 5 children by her father. And he basically raped her all of her life. He is now in prison for life.
Oh, thank
But
God.
my point is that,
Finally.
and yes, she's getting by and she's making it through. But we talk about right now, we're dealing with a lot of mental health issues in our society every day. We just,
Mental health month.
yeah, mental health issues.
No, I said this is mental health month too.
Yeah, and it's mental health month, right? Thank you. And we deal with all these things. This is just yet one more thing compounded by people who will tell these people, you can't have an abortion, you're killing a baby. Here's my recommendation to all of those who think that they belong in these people's business. If you're not going out and adopting 1 or 2 of them yourself, you should shut up. I'm just saying, if you that concerned about these children being alive and well and born into the world, when you go out and adopt some of them, then come back and holler at me.
I wanted to say this about Tennessee. That bill is called HB 223. It says it will eliminate an age requirement and in some instance open the door for a cover-up for child sex abuse.
Absolutely.
That's what it
That's
was
a
for.
recipe for disaster.
Actually, the guy that wrote it, his wife is like 30 years young. Something crazy. Like one of the, I don't know if he's a senator, I'm not sure what it is, but one of the politicians involved with that bill, he's a groomer. Like, for sure.
Right.
Like 100.
Now, let's remember.
She's way, like, he started messing around with her when she was like 17 or even younger than that, because I think she was a family friend's daughter or something weird like that.
Well, look, let's look at it like this. Let's remember that this is the same state, Tennessee, where Elvis Presley married his teenage bride, his child bride, where Jerry Lee Lewis married his child bride. Yes.
This is
Both
an
of them.
ancient. I was just watching a video by Max Dashu today, which it was called like male dominance and colonizing women's bodies, and they just talk about like all the cultures across the globe, like in the child marriages, that was like one of the aspects of violence, like as an example of used against like girl children. And this is some ancient practice that goes back where they were marrying girls off at like 9 and 10. And this goes for all cultures from Europe to Africa, because, you know, folks like to pretend that it's just the Europeans, but it's not. Because it's just a very common misogynistic practice. And I don't know why people think they're entitled to rape little girls, but...
Yeah, but I mean, the way the standards in this country and the way our society is set up, I don't think that should even be a conversation.
You would think.
Now, one thing here, now this is a very important point Bessie Taylor makes. She said, I know a young woman who has 8 kids, different fathers, and she's special needs. Someone is having sex with her, and she doesn't know how to protect herself.
She's being raped.
But here again, we have a state, for example, Texas. Here we are in Texas that has basically banned
Miscarriages and abortion.
right.
How is a miscarriage?
Because these people...
Because
This
here's what's happening. They've given regular everyday citizens the license to file charges, civil charges,
Stop snitching.
against any doctor. Right, it's a snitch thing. Snitches get stitches. Snitches get ditches. To file charges against any doctor or individual who participates in an abortion, including the mother. If, for example, they aid and abet or transport anything dealing with an abortion, they can all be civilly taken to court and sued, basically breaking them.
Okay,
Did
so
you-
I get the abortion. How's the miscarriage involved in this?
Because it's all about terrorizing women.
Because if a woman having a baby and she wants
So-
a baby and she has a miscarriage, she's gonna get.
Yes.
They may investigate you, though,
Yeah,
to
so
prove
they're
that
gonna
it was a
invest-
miscarriage. Think about it. This is a slippery slope. This is where we're headed.
This is what is that show? What's the show with the handmaidens and the girls have to wear the bonnets? Everybody said this is like literally
The
like
Handmaid's
that show.
Tale?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so that
See, so
Now you're gonna make me watch that.
So now here we are going down this slippery slope to a place where what are we in the Middle Ages? What are we headed back to?
techno feudalism.
Techno feudalism, exactly. We did that show. We sure did. This is another form of techno feudalism. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't see that episode on the Black Factor, go back and watch it. We talk very much about how we are now
Might be
moving into
worse,
a time
actually.
where what are you calling it? The Great Reset? Isn't that what you call it?
Yes.
Sister X. It's the Great Reset, where things that we only read about and heard about in terms of the way society is being controlled are now coming to pass all over again. It's crazy.
This is all like well, I was like, there's so many like rabbit holes with this, but like this is also like all got to do with transhumanism because like no matter like how you were saying, oh, they're worried about their birth rates dropping. It's not going to matter because so many women are infertile now because of the environmental
No, I didn't even
stuff.
think of that.
Oh, and really, it's not just the women; it's the men too, because their testosterone is low, their hormones are off, sperm counts are low.
GMOs,
Yeah, all the GMOs, the pesticides, the
genetically
plastic,
modified organisms.
the phthalates in your lotion that you put on your body, they disrupt your endocrine system, and when that is out of whack, and your thyroid and all that, you can't have kids. So no matter what, is not going to matter. Like that's not going to make a difference. And as long as they continue, like basically, the business class wants open borders. No matter what politician gets up there talking about, we don't support illegal immigration. It doesn't matter. They always support it because there's actually this man that they did a whole subject about this going back to like the United States government bringing in immigrants going back to like the earliest days. Anytime they want new cheap labor, they go and recruit. They would recruit in Ireland. They recruit in Germany, and now Central America and South America, whatever. That's now where they're recruiting from.
Here's the funny thing. Smooth Edie says it's not going to happen. When we talked about the adoption, she said they will go out of the country to get a kid. We got plenty of them being born right here in America that they don't want no parts of. Isn't that amazing?
No,
The
like, these people
hypocrisy
are
is
sick.
unbelievable.
Like they're just a bunch of sickos. I don't know how people go overseas and get kids. And another thing with the foster system, because I've seen like pro-life people. I've been arguing for like 3 days with people. The pro-life people, they're like, you need to adopt, these kids can be put up for adoption. And I'm like, can y'all name me any foster kids that that haven't been molested or sexually abused or abused in any kind of way?
Who ain't even in the foster system getting molested.
That's true.
It's really a shame to me. What bothers me is that I know women. In fact, I had a conversation with a young lady that I knew way back in the day, and I always sensed that there was something, and I never really knew what it was. And one day we had a very frank conversation, and she told me how she was being molested by her mother's man, husband, whatever. And as time goes on, and all of the women, what bothers me is that I know so many women. I know more women that have been molested than not. There's something wrong with that. But what it shows you is these same people who got their hands on these women's reproductive systems are the very villains who putting their hands on women that they shouldn't.
Yes.
I have a problem with that.
It's because
It's sick.
It's like a pathological sickness, I think, and like I don't want to sit here and like blame men because like it's not that because the women condone it. Like a lot of women will turn it's an in tandem system. Like women will turn the blind eye knowing their children are getting raped, like male and female. Like I think they're happy.
T.D. Jakes and Tyler Perry made tons of movies and plays about.
I mean, we don't even have to talk about that.
Now,
A lot of
Bessie
people
Taylor
know
makes
people
another good
personally.
point. She says, but the people who want to cut out abortion want to cut out federal and state programs that help mothers take care of these babies. Absolutely correct.
Yes, I think
That's absolutely right.
my conspiracy, especially with the red states, I think they want to up their private prison populations. Like
Oh,
you know the people, because most of women who get
So these
abortions
babies
are
are cannon
poor.
fodder.
Yes, most of the women who get abortions are poor. It guarantees there will be some military people to serve. It guarantees
Yeah.
there will be people to go to prison. Guarantees there will be free kids to be picked up off the street and molested. Kids that'll be, put into sex work or prostitution. So I feel like sex work is a sanitizing, like, woke language.
Sex trafficking.
Yeah, because they will be sex trafficked. Like the average young woman or girl, she starts prostituting at 13. Like, it's not the cute OnlyFans crap that a lot of deranged people my age and younger like to make it out to be. Like, they may not be stomping the street, but they are still getting raped at like 13, 14. And the Johns, they like that. Like, we just have a lot of
That's
child
sick.
predators.
And then the other side of that too is, and how many times have politicians, these same Republicans, been caught with their hand in the cookie jar, molesting boys, getting in trouble with young girls? This is like, it's amazing to me how we gaslight, how in this country we get gaslit on this topic. It's insane.
Yeah, because they want predators. They want people to prey on. I
Think
don't want
about
to
it.
put you off, though.
Prostitution. Why? Okay, I tell you what. Why don't they ban? I mean, straight up prosecute people for prostitution. Don't turn a blind
they're
eye.
not gonna do
Hold
that.
on, no. But see, this is what I'm
They
saying.
need to prosecute the Johns. Because
Exactly.
they
If
do
they
punish the
prosecuted
women.
the Johns, right? If they prosecuted the guys that's out here paying for it, and they treated them the same way they're treating these women on the tip of abortion, they would not
All
be.
phones muted on set.
Thank you, producer lady. You know who that was, don't you? Look.
40 minutes later.
If they banned the men who put their hands on women, if they came up with a way to castrate these same men who got caught buying, okay, going out there paying for tail, if they castrated these same men who wanted to marry underage girls and did all of this stuff, I guarantee you it'll stop. But they're not going to do that part because it's men that's making the legislation that's causing it.
And it's not just any men, like, they're perverts. Because we know, like,
I think a pedophile gets less time probably. Than
they get slapped on the wrist. Matter of
That's
fact,
crazy.
it's a couple of crazy stories that I don't know if y'all have heard. So recently, a young black woman, a girl, teenager, was killed here in Texas. Her mother went on a trip to Austin, left her with her 60-year-old boyfriend, who apparently the little girl did not like. And so
How
he
old's the
shot,
little girl?
she was 16. He shot and killed her. And when the police found her, her pants were down, like, around her
Wow.
legs. So, just typical boyfriend raping the kid. Like, this is just
That's probably why she didn't like him. She
yeah.
probably been getting
And she
raped
called
all
her
this time.
sister to come get her, and her sister was, like, at the door. And she heard, like, the gunshots go off.
Oh my God!
And
this
so,
child gonna be
yes,
sick too.
so bad. And her,
Seen
I'm
more
pretty
trauma.
sure her mother's a nasty pick-me because the oldest daughter didn't live with them. She lived outside the home, and the 60-year-old man had been living in their house for 3 years, since 2019. So he was evicted and had some previous criminal record, and she had moved him into his house. So I'm saying, like, women do condone this mess. Like, they know the men are raping their kids, and they're fine with it. Like, they
Yeah.
have no problem
Tyler
with it.
Perry and TD Jakes.
I mean,
and
we
everybody.
know people. We know people who have been through that.
Yeah, their
Whose
mothers
mothers
turned
turned a blind eye to them being molested and raped.
Well, let me ask y'all about this. So, what is he? I don't know what this man is. He's a rep in Florida. He's a congressman, Matt Gaetz or Gatz or whatever. So today he
he's a
tweeted.
wacko.
Now he was caught messing around
Uh-huh.
with kids, but today he tweeted.
Yep.
How many of the women rallying against overturning Roe are overeducated, underloved millennials who sadly return from protests to a lonely microwave dinner with their cats
Wow.
and no Bumble matches? And now,
Now,
that's a
How
com-
do you see how do you clown education? You gotta be a brain dead
Because-
idiot to make it seem like it's something wrong with being educated.
these red pill men is what they call them, or like the MGTOWs. Like, they are very against women being educated, and they are very, like, in love with this fantasy of, like, women being educated and dying alone. Like, you will see this, like, if any argument breaks out online about say someone was like, I'm not gonna be sleeping with broke men no more because they rolling back Roe versus Wade. Like, these men will come out the gate like, you're a dumb whore who's educated, and that's why you're gonna die alone. Like, this is a common.
Some women want to be alone.
Hey, you
Well,
wanna
yeah,
you
they
wanna
do.
you wanna stop all of this? All women close your legs.
Wasn't that the movie that
What was the movie?
Oh, the Nick Cannon
No,
movie?
no. Wasn't that a Greek story? What was that?
It was the
Chirac.
Spike Lee.
Well, it was the movie was Chirac, but it was
Yeah.
based on an ancient play
Yes.
where
Yes.
the women protested the men at war by withholding sex from them all.
I think the women in Iceland did
Trying
this
to make
too.
them straighten up.
I
So-
guarantee you, if the women in this country said, you know what, and it ain't even got to be the ones that are the Pygmies, the ones that are not the Pygmies, and they say, even to their husbands, they're good husbands. Now, you know what? We think we're going to hold on to this for a little while since y'all think you can control what we do with it. I promise you, this will change tomorrow.
Yeah, probably. Because
All right.
So
Now-
it's the same man being investigated for sex trafficking.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. And
Now-
see, he likes 14, 13-year-old girls, and he's up here against Roe versus Wade.
Now, I guess
Is that
he...
the same? Was he one of those that was down there with that man? What was the man?
No, he's
no,
not.
No. That was before his time.
Oh,
But that's another group
Now,
of people that like
let's
to...
add to the
I'm screaming at Kevin
diminishing, dwindling population of white Anglo-Saxons to the interracial relationship side of the game. Social change, not just demographic change, also is driving recent birth rate trends. A rising number of multiracial babies is being born to couples that include one white parent. Rising rates of intermarriage explain some of the trend among newlyweds. In 2010, 9% of whites married someone who was Hispanic or of another race. That was nearly triple the rate in 1980.
Now, remember when I said that I was like, they're just going to fold Hispanic into white? Because they already
You
are
did,
classified
yeah.
white on paper.
But if they do that, then they got to open that border.
I mean, the border's
See?
open.
Well, so to speak, but it's still a political football.
But see, this is what I'm saying. They do one thing. They say one thing and do something else. So you can't trust neither party.
In 2009 Pew Research Center survey, 29% of whites said they have an immediate family member or a close relative married to someone of a different race. This compares with 50% of non-whites who said the same. Survey data indicate that the public increasingly accepts and approves of intermarriage and interracial dating. So that means that also is contributing to the diminishing numbers of Anglo-Saxons.
Well, let me say this. Anglo-Saxons are already a small number. Most of these white people or Europeans are Ellis Island type of white people. They're not settler pilgrim type of whites. Like their family got here right before and directly after the Civil War.
Good point. Now, one thing I find interesting, we did the map earlier where we talked about the places that abortion is protected. Governor Pritzker of Illinois, Tuesday, said that they would, since this whole thing came down, they would find a way, or they were going to protect the rights of women in Illinois. So Illinois being one of those states that allowed them to keep women's reproductive health care without being harassed or any of the other stuff that these other states are doing. Planned Parenthood Illinois is ready to help out the state, out-of-state women get abortions if Roe v. Wade is overturned. So unless they come up with a federal law, now this is where, again, you see the writing on the wall. If you're not careful, through these next elections, they could turn right around and create federal legislation in the reverse direction of Roe v. Wade. Y'all
They
better
could.
vote. Now, I'm not even saying vote because I'm a fan of abortions. I'm saying vote for the fan of because I'm a fan of your freedom.
And don't just vote, harass the politicians. Call their phone. Make sure you're voting for someone who is
Yes.
going to
As a
do
matter
what
of
they
fact,
say
let
they're
me
going to do.
tell all y'all out there in my audience, they have an app that you can load on your phone. It's called the 3 Calls app. It allows you to contact all of your representatives and everybody else in your district. You can literally look it up in the app, and that allows you to call them and harass them and say whatever you need to say and let them know how you feel about what's going on and where your vote may or may not
Yes,
go.
because that's what people need to do. I really don't think people are. I'm screaming. I'm not voting for the Democrats. Same.
Yep,
I'm
well,
with you, James.
You know, I feel
I may
like
not be
this.
voting for anybody.
But see, and here's the thing, and I'm a person who, let me put it this way. I'll never tell people not to vote. But I do know that as bad as it sounds, I'm not going to vote against my own best interest. At least lie to me like the Democrats do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. We know that they are not going to do everything that needs to be done. But I'm also not getting ready to stick my hand in the fire. I'm just not.
Neither one
Well,
do
see,
this.
Belinda said you should not vote for years and years and never ask for anything, which is a topic that we debate about quite frequently.
Right.
And I agree, because like you have to, especially like with the black vote, as black people move out of political relevancy in the near future. But it's like the Democrats' most solid base. So, you know, you can demand things, because otherwise they'll never win another election ever again.
Yeah. Donna Ross says, teach these young women and men how not to jump from bed to bed and birth control once I'm pregnant with another human. It's mine. Unless health issues, also let these men get a chance to keep the baby before she aborts the child as well. Also, her parents and grandparents of both men step up and teach your sons as well about their options with birth control. Stop scaring your children if they get pregnant. Talk to them more about it and how to prevent it. Yeah, well, that sounds really good, but that's a notion that's been taking place as long as I can remember, and is yet to be foundational and work.
And the whole thing is like the birth rates are dropping for everybody.
And as a matter of fact, right, and the birth rates are
And
already
people-
dropping, and they have been for
Millennials
years.
and Zoomers aren't having sex like
As
that.
a matter of fact,
Either, so.
black women's
Birth rates
the
dropped
birth
too.
rates have dropped tremendously
Yeah.
in recent years.
They
So,
have.
you know, and I mean, let's face it, we live in an information age. Nowadays, there's no real excuse for saying, well, I didn't know any better. It's everywhere. I mean, it's birth control. They advertise it on television now, just like they do Cialis and Viagra.
Yeah.
They you know, sex is not no
And
longer
there's
that
Plan
taboo.
B.
Right. Then you got Plan B.
So that's
and
if
like
you-
what did you herbal abortions.
There's
You
herbal
got-
abortions, Plan B. Then, okay, you didn't get the Plan B. You got the abortion pills. Okay, very last step, you got to go to the doctor's office and actually get an abortion.
Right. And Phyllis Harris says the abortion rates have even dropped. And that's also true. So it's almost like this is a non-issue as far as this whole thing is concerned, yet they
politicians are
continue to
saying.
go on about it. The politicians are using this. This is more fear-mongering. This is the type of thing that they do in order to scare people. They want to keep people in a
Riled up.
frenzy about something. So they'll have a platform to scream from so that they can make it seem like the people on the other side are crazy.
And both parties do it because, you know, this is the Democrats' thing they keep in their back pocket, like I said. But, I mean, it's like, who cares? Like, who cares now? My thing, too, is like, okay, women just need to know when they ovulate. If you know when you're ovulating, what does it matter? Do you need birth control? Do you need
women
abortion?
should know that, but somebody has to teach that to them.
That's true.
And we're talking about, and sometimes people make assessments and statements based on their own environment and their upbringing. Like, I mean, just as an example.
That was the point of privilege. I'm going to be quiet now.
Exactly. Yeah. See, now you had to be quiet. And there are people who have those points of privilege, and they understand these things because somebody has taken the time to show them and talk to them about it. But then there are those who, for example, were brought up in the foster care system, who've been molested and raped and every damn thing else, and then all of a sudden they got to have a kid because now somebody else abused them. And then we can only hope that they get prosecuted or treated the way that they should for doing so.
Yes, because the rape laws and child molestation laws are maybe not where they should be. Got the hair bill, LG got what they wanted, and when... I agree with James again. Like, there are definitely some rats. Because, like, why do we keep voting for them and you can't get nothing? Like, you're a whole founding population of this country, and they are giving out money to everybody else. Like, people who just got off the plane, people overseas. They got welfare funds for any and everything. And then they come every few years, like Joe Biden's like, you're not even black if you didn't vote for me. And everyone was fine with it. Could you imagine if Trump had said some insanity like that? Like, it would have been a week-long, like, disaster. Like, media disaster. They would have brought it up on CNN every 15 minutes to browbeat and
Fox
guilt
News.
trip black people into voting Democrat, which I don't think everyone needs to go register as independent, especially black voters.
I agree with that.
And their feet need to be held to the fire. Like, you don't owe them votes for anything. Like, they're supposed to be doing our will as the people. So them getting up here, because someone on Twitter, one of the politicians was like, y'all need to get out and vote. And they're like, well, what have you been doing?
But here's, and I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I have a fear that if we are not very, very careful, we're going to end up in a place in this country, and it's going to happen so fast that we really don't want to be, especially if you're not a Caucasian. We still have to navigate this nonsense, which we kind of helped create, because we've not stood our ground or for what we should in order to make sure that we have representatives that represent us properly. We sat there and watched Mitch McConnell snatch away an opportunity for Barack Obama to have a Supreme Court pick, gave it to Trump. He then got 2 more, and now we're sitting here talking about settled law because they've repealed it. Not to mention the fact that, or they're about to repeal it, not to mention the fact that the reason we're even having these conversations about election law, because they backed off of the Civil Rights Voting Act from the 60s, the Supreme Court. Clarence Thomas turned coat to black people, the very person who benefited from the laws that he helped to strike down. Here we are now having to worry about if people standing in line in Georgia want a drink of water because they've removed all of the polling places and you got one place to go stand, and you're out there in the hot sun in the Georgia heat, and somebody gives you a bottle of water, they can now be arrested. This is the type of nonsense. They might as well go back to how many bubbles in a bar of soap, how many jelly beans in a jar. This is what I'm saying. While we talk badly about the Democratic Party, which I don't have much good to say about them, but I also know that at least we wouldn't have to worry about these Jim Crow type tactics being placed upon our heads to keep us away from the power structure, so that the power structure becomes so powerful that we no longer have a say all over again, just like we didn't directly after Reconstruction.
I mean, I think we are at risk with either party.
I don't disagree with you.
Because I'm saying one Democrats
but one
are
is definitely driving that train straight off the tracks to get you back in chains.
One is openly doing it, and one is doing it covertly. There is no difference. Like, if we could maybe we need to do another show where we compare the two. You know, because the Democrats come out and say pretty words. They're like pimps. They talk to you nice. You know, telling you that you the bottom hoe, you the best.
Yeah, but they're not taking away your ability to vote.
But they also aren't protecting it either.
All right. Well, I can't argue with that.
Because that's what they're supposed. You know, that's what I'm saying. That's what they're supposed to do. Are we not their biggest voting bloc? Why are you not doing the will?
Well, it's going to cost them as
people?
much as it's costing us.
No, because anytime any black people are like, I'm tired of them, you get browbeaten, and like Joe Biden. What Master Biden say? He said, y'all not black if you don't vote for me. And a lot of people were pissed off, but not as pissed as they got about Trump tweeting coffee, you know, or some other stupid stuff that Trump said, because he's a troll. But people love being inflamed and involved in Trump's business. Like, it gave them life that last 4 years. Joe Biden's boring.
He's an idiot. Let's call it what it is. He was an idiot.
But Joe Biden is also an idiot. But no one gets his, I'm just saying, like, that energy is not there for him. Like, and we need that energy coming into this next election, because if we vote again for these people who are not going to do what they said,
I want to see some fresh faces. I don't want to see these same old white men who have ideologies and thought processes that are 100 years old. I want to see some fresh blood.
And we have
not
the
these
internet
crazy
too,
folks like that dude in Florida, the one that the child molester.
Because he needs to be in jail.
He's under investigation. Let me back up. The alleged child molester who has something to say about abortion
caught with
now.
coke in women under 18.
Exactly. Those are not the fresh faces I want to see. I want to see some rational people with integrity and common sense attempt to put this country back right. Where are they? I know damn well The people who are governing this country right now are not the best of this country. I know they're not. Where are they? Where are those people? Anybody? Anybody?
I do. It's this one guy that's always campaigning. Now I see them on Twitter, and maybe we need to try to get them on here to talk.
Yes.
Because there are people running in various different places, and those people, they need their platforms amplified, because there's especially no reason in places like Memphis or the South Side of Chicago or Mississippi and Detroit, where it's still, certain parts of the South, like it's so majority black, and they still aren't doing what needs to be done. I mean, the good news is most of the rural or majority European states, they're on meth. So it's only so much they can organize and do.
Yeah. Antonia Smith says the only way this country will gain an amount of respect if they give what's owed to blacks and apologize for the years of everything they've done. Reparations, y'all.
They won't.
That ain't gonna happen.
But they should, I agree. Because, we are a founding...
Oh, no, without us, this country doesn't exist. Period.
Yeah, so we did
On
most of the
multiple
heavy
levels.
lifting.
I mean, that's what the black factor is. Without the factor of black in the equation, there is no product. Plain and simple.
And I mean, this is my thing too. Like, they exploit Black America at every turn, and we let them. They export our music. They've exported our labor. They've exported our indigenous families' crops. For those of us that had indigenous bloodlines, they've taken our land. Then they pimped out your ability to work with plants and animals super well. The cowboys, the farmers. I mean, we just be getting pimped. Like I said, when I'm in Paris, I'm listening to jazz music. Why is that? And smelling tobacco.
Ain't
Ain't
that something? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with this conundrum.
So we have no solutions.
Because we have not come up with a solution. I like to be solution based. I like it when we can come up with something that we can all do. But I am still going to say vote, regardless.
I agree.
I'm going to still say vote, and I'm going to say, no matter what your position is, vote in your best interest. And this is where I cannot condemn the wealthy rappers who sided with Trump and said the things they said in that regard, because they're trying to protect their money, and he was doing things to help rich people. See, and it goes back to what Bessie Taylor said earlier in this feed. Classism. People with income.
Americans apple
A lot of
pie.
people don't know that during the inception of the Constitution, in the times where we were beginning this country as we know it today, a lot of people don't know that they were imposing the idea that if you did not own land and have money, that you couldn't vote anyway. You had to have an interest to be able to vote. I suspect we may be headed back there. There's so many things historically that have brought us to where we are, and it appears to me that we are about to go full circle. And I know that may sound dramatic and over the top, but not so much. When you do your history and you know what has gone on in the past, it's not a stretch to think about what the possibilities are for what's coming. Slippery slopes, y'all. You got to be careful, and you got to stay off of them, because you're going to slide down, you're going to fall into the abyss. And that's where we're headed if we're not very, very careful.
It's not to be Debbie Downer, but it's definitely about to hit the fan.
It's coming.
It's too much which we have these discussions all the time. It's just too much going on all
You got
at the
the
same
housing
time.
situation going on right now. Back into the blockchain, techno-feudalism.
They will be surveilling you more than they ever have.
Big government.
Oh, yes. Patriot Act. You can thank the Patriot Act for that.
Yep. Thank George Bush and his family. And it's always the Republicans. It's always them that create these situations that end up turning into something else. And I know
that's the point.
Right. And that's my point. But you have people, they use this fear so much on people that it becomes an automatic, oh, we got to do this, or else. And then they do it, and then they flip the switch, and next thing you know, you're sitting there going, well, wait a minute. I didn't ask for that part. Well, yeah, now
It's
you
the
got
game
it.
of the
And it ain't no
politician.
taking it back. Because as far as I'm concerned, why do we still have a homeland security?
Oh, you wait. Because we didn't add this in, even though I know we...
Add it.
That new board they've started under the Homeland Security to combat disinformation, allegedly.
Oh, boy.
It's not going to... That is
Next you're gonna go to jail for what you say. Shows like this will go away. The
If you-
ability to speak freely will become a thing of the past because there will be threats and actions taken against those who are supposedly spreading misinformation. Think about that.
It's
Anything
called-
could be deemed misinformation.
Well, we saw them do it with this public health crisis. You know, everyone's for the people that were like, okay, we don't necessarily believe that the serum they're giving out is a cure-all. You know, it's not doing, or doctors that were saying that they were getting their license snatched. And everybody was fine with it. Everybody's like, that's what they deserve. And then, of course, you have the other nuts that are like, it's not real. The virus doesn't exist. So, you know, which they're both wrong. But, you know, in the middle, the conversation is lost. And so the board is actually called the Wait, now why did my computer just do that? It's called the Disinformation Governance Board. Which I don't even like the name of it. So if you say anything that they don't approve of, you can just go ahead and... You're gonna be deplatformed. If you're lucky, that's all that's gonna happen to you. And also it goes back to when people were like, "Yeah, let's get Trump off of Twitter." But Trump was the big one. But there's been a lot of people that just said, like the doctors, they were like, "Okay, we don't believe the serum is gonna do this," and they're like, "Nope, you getting up out of here." Or they're like, "Hey, I'm treating my patients with that. It wasn't what we approved. You're spreading disinformation. You've got to go."
Well, again, the slippery slope. Where we're headed. It's a dangerous place, but this is, again, if we're not careful. Now, another young lady on here said the whole pandemic was a lie. Just my opinion, and you're entitled to that. And that's the thing, and that's the entire issue. The fact that your freedoms are being encroached in ways in the coming future that are going to set us back more than 100 years. We got to be careful, y'all.
Oh wait, there's one more thing.
Keep going.
What's
Keep going. She got to keep. There's one more thing.
No, I know,
One more
right?
thing.
So but it's tied into this
I
too.
got one
So,
more thing.
and the surveillance thing we're talking about. So, a lot of women use the menstruation apps. You can track your period with the apps, right?
Huh.
So, come to find out that some of these apps have been sharing that data with the Homeland Security Department
Is that right?
and Facebook. So you're when you are fertile and all that information is going. So they were saying this could be used. Say it goes federal, right? Like they make
Right.
abortion federally banned. Well, they're gonna know when you had a miscarriage because they got all that data, or they can know when you got potentially pregnant because you know you can put in, oh, I had sex on this day, that kind of thing. So they've got millions of women's
Too much information online.
ovulation information.
That's crazy.
Me and all my friends
Some-
say 45 and older.
Yes, luckily for all the menopausal women, postmenopausal,
That is insane.
y'all are free. For the rest of us, we are in danger.
I'm setting up for the weirdos.
Oh yeah, they're setting us up for the breeding camps that inevitably will be coming down the line.
Breeding
Oh,
camps.
Black
Wait a
Factory?
minute now.
Not the Black Factory, Black Mirror or something like that.
What?
I
With
don't
breeding
know.
camps?
Yeah, remember
Bre-
one of those weird shows we watched? And all them ladies were like in a prison and they were
Oh.
all pregnant.
I
That
don't
was
know.
Black
Probably.
Mirror.
I mean, we're in the dystopian
Black
society
Mirror
now.
dropped some little secrets on you.
Yeah, zombies could pop up tomorrow, and I'd be like, you know what? All right, makes sense
Man,
to
that's
me.
crazy. That's insane. I mean, I don't know.
That's what the Big Brother is watching thing. Like we're gonna have
Well,
to do part
what was
two.
that? Orwell. George Orwell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this whole thing is, Donna Ross say that's crazy. You know, Donna, all of it is gotten crazy. And that's the part that is so disturbing because of where we are now with everything going on. It's like, at what point do we, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore. Shit, I'm
Also,
lost.
the World Economic Forum called people that are going to live off grid. They're called
It's like,
discontents.
at what point do
is what they've
do
labeled them
we-
as. So
Yeah, this is
we'll have
nuts.
to do another techno feudalism show so we can talk about. We can kind of go into the surveillance state and what that's going to look like.
The surveillance, you mean of people?
Yeah. Because, of course, now with them bringing in the digital, what is the thing called? The e-dollar? There's a bill, like, on Biden's desk right now.
Wait. E-dollar. What is
Yeah.
that?
Like, or So it's gonna be a digital dollar. It's very.
Is
I'm
that
not gonna
over?
say
You
it's
know,
hush
okay, I
hush.
heard that they were trying to do something in that regard with crypto. The government itself is getting involved in crypto.
Yes. So there will be an e-dollar. We'll do some more on that because I know we're kind of going over and we don't want to do that too much.
So, I mean, well, I mean, you know,
It's your show. You can do
yeah,
whatever.
we
Well,
can
that's
do
true.
whatever we want. We
Well,
don't have
so
to.
like how
Why is somebody trying to call me?
I tell you, phones are on.
I
you,
just-
you can put your
Lie.
airplane mode on. Oh, well, I
doesn't
guess you
matter.
can't do that.
No, because I have to follow.
Yeah,
I have
you
to
have to
follow
follow
what's
the-
going on. Yeah.
So it's just a part of the surveillance state, like the blockchain, the digital. You know, where they're like, "Here's you got
but
$600."
now see, but the blockchain you can't keep up with. You can't surveil the blockchain.
Well, yes, but the
that's
concept
why it's
is
made the way that it
same,
is.
where everything is like cross-referenced and can never be. The blockchain itself is outside of this for now, but I do believe they will adopt that technology for nefarious purposes in the near future. So you know, you said, "Oh, I only made this much for the year," and the IRS got it on the blockchain that you made something else, which they already do now. It's just that it'll be digital, and so every system, like, "Oh, I'm trying to get approved for a car. I'm trying to get an apartment." You know, there will be no lying or making up check stubs or anything like that. Like whatever it says in that digital system is going to be it. Like it's like your credit score, but worse.
So, in other words, they'll also be able to keep up with and control women's reproductive habits through digital technology.
Yes, potentially, yes.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, I mean, you say potentially, but you know, they sneak these things in, man. I mean, like right now, even us using social media the way that we do, people are always being tracked. That's why they put those. What is it? What do they call it? They have these bots that operate even on Facebook. These things that follow the stuff that you get,
Oh yeah, the cookies.
and with the algorithms,
So they can
and all
target
of that.
you. Yeah, so
Right.
it's like if you go on certain websites that have those marketing target cookies, it makes you the companies that have those, you'll see ads for them.
That's why when you walk in certain stores, and then all of a sudden,
You get
some
ads
weird
and stuff
ad,
like
a
that.
coupon
And
pop
that's
up.
using like the what do they call it, the geo data or whatever. It's all kind of it's the cookies, the geo data, your phone, your zip code. Like I said, it's like the credit score but worse. So there will be no escaping that digital surveillance system. And who was that talking about? They work at the hospital and they have some receipts. What was
Yeah, he's talking about. They were talking about the.
the jab? The
Oh,
serum.
look at that. He said he never got the shot. He never got sick, and as it appears that people who have type O blood can fight the virus. I heard something like that before.
They didn't want that up. That story came and went. They're like they cleared that one up real fast.
But I mean, overall, you know, my problem with, I guess this whole topic has more to do with the hypocrisy of those involved than it does almost anything else. I mean, we're talking about people who consistently tell other people or women what they can and can't do reproductively, but they do nothing to control themselves. Are you sleepy, producer lady?
No.
You look awfully tired. You over there with your eyes closed. Y'all, I got a producer that's
My
going to
eyes are
sleep.
not closed.
She can't keep up. She's not keeping up with the show,
I'm
y'all.
listening.
What we go What we gonna do with you? We're gonna put you out. We're gonna put you off the show.
You need to have your phone muted.
Yeah, I know. But it is what it is, you know. So
Yeah,
anyway,
read some of your comments real quick.
well,
Any good ones? Thank you.
let's see. They're on here having a discussion about the virus. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole today. But I would like to go back and revisit Donna Ross' comment about teaching the children about, you know, dealing with before it comes down to an abortion. You know, we are in a society now where so many people are now dealing with. They just went completely off the rails. Where so many people are dealing with the social. Right, I know. I got a hell of an audience, don't I? where people are dealing with these social issues as it pertains to us, how you raise your children now. How do you deal with what's coming with all of this? Anybody? Nobody got any answers, man?
What do
I'm
you
at a
mean?
loss. I don't know.
What do you mean? How do they deal with this?
I mean, I'm just saying, where are we in time? Donna say sex, sex, sex everywhere. It is. Man, look, I used to get mad, just as an example, when my children were growing up, and everybody used to say I was crazy, and I'm like, why is every damn thing on television sex, sex, sex? Everybody thought I was nuts.
But that's the thing,
Even
though.
the cartoons, damn Disney.
Yeah, they it's always like stuff, because we were just talking about that, because I was saying I'm crazy enough where I would like commission my own cartoons for my children to watch, because I don't want them watching the subliminal weird stuff that they have on TV. But the millennials and zoomers are not diddling like that. That's also the thing. Like, this isn't the 1980s.
So you're saying that
1990s.
right. So in other words, they're not just getting down, just doing it however, whenever,
No,
wherever.
most of them are inside on the phone.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you know
That's why
we're
their vitamin D is low.
that, and then you have the whole porn thing. So a lot of the young men are busy on OnlyFans.
Well, would it also not be a thing where, because everything is so accessible now, that it's just not a big issue like I guess it once was. Is that possibly?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, yeah, if you've been watching porn since you're 9, and now, and you've got
pretty screwed up.
You've got crippling
9-year-old? That is
mother.
disgusting.
They have iPads and phones and
Not
stuff.
in my house, but that is true.
But we're
Yeah.
we're older.
Y'all micromanage with computers, and these kids. I see 2-year-olds with tablets running around.
But
That's crazy.
I'm just saying, so they
The
have
parents think they
access.
get entertained by the computers.
But the point is, like, the young men have no incentive to go out and pursue. Unfortunately, they have all the.
Babies in diapers pumping their booties.
Yeah, it's not
See,
cute.
it's not.
cute.
It's not. But again, my problem is that it's the hypocrisy for me. It's the people who want to take away the programs that make it possible for young women who are in adverse situations. Like, for example, somebody brought up the young lady who was special needs and got 8 kids.
Yeah,
Who's taking care of them kids?
Yeah.
And for how long?
Didn't she have birth control? Somebody knew she was special.
And if she's
needs?
special needs, why is she even in a position away from
But see,
somebody
where is
to
her
be?
family?
Well, and here's
And
my
that's
point.
what y'all are asking,
and let's
but-
say, for example, I mean, okay, since we're talking about that, we have a friend who has taken care of a special needs child all of her life, and turns out that child has been pretty busy. Fortunately, she's not reproduced,
That's terrible.
but some perverted weirdo is tapping that.
Well, at
What's
the very.
wrong
But
with
I'ma
this
tell you
picture?
this.
But
I
she
know
can
this-
Not
con-
just one.
She
I know
can
that these
consent,
kids-
though.
I know that these.
Wait, hold on. How does a special needs person consent? If somebody has custody, okay.
But
all
what
right.
if they're diddling each other? Like,
Who?
what if it's 2 special needs people together? Even I know that's not the case, but I know it's not the case with these people getting preyed on. But I'm just saying, like, if it's 2
James
special.
Knight said America's imploding right before our very
I agree
eyes.
with
Ah,
James
man,
Knight.
he ain't
Wait,
told
what were
no
you
lie.
gonna say?
I said, okay, these parents that allow their kids to be babysat by tablets and cell phones. I saw a little baby in the grocery store about 4. I need my cell phone. He was in there digging all in his mother's purse for this phone at 4. I'm like, are you kidding? I bet he can't even ride a bicycle or roller skate.
I mean, this.
Kids don't go outside and play hopscotch. What's that stuff?
Belinda
Red light,
Williams
green
says
light?
special needs people can be highly sexual. I've heard that.
Yes, that is true. That is
They
definitely
are
true.
people too. There's actually a show about this.
No. They actually have a higher
They're
rate,
stronger,
like a higher.
yeah.
Yeah, I've heard
They be
that.
down there,
Oh Jesus,
Oh, really?
brothers and
Alrighty then.
sisters in Christ, this conversation has gone.
Off the
But I
rails.
want to know why kids are not outside playing, riding bikes.
I
And
mean, you
instead of
see
these
them
tablets-
sometimes.
these
Well,
tablets and
first
stuff
of
is making
the
mental
parents
health
my
issues.
age is some lazy people. That's why I don't. That's why I don't have any kids, because I don't have the patience.
You
And you
don't
know,
even take care of your cat
pe-
right, so-
exactly. So people are breeding. I call them breeders. When you just lay down and squirt out kids, you had no intention of, managing and
Yeah,
taking care of.
it's terrible.
So, I mean, it's just easier to keep the kids out their face with the phone and iPad, basically, and
All
want
right.
they want to be on
It's
their
time
own.
to end this debacle.
Hey, Jan.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We have no solution.
I'm choking.
All we can do is point out the obvious and hope that somewhere down the line, and I want to actually, I know what I want to say. Smoothie says, "Hey, I just like to say thank you for this information. I wish you would have this about how to vote. We are, because we're in election season.
We did that so
we
many
do
times.
politics, and we're gonna do more. If we would like better policies, and then stop listening to the old guards because they are about their money and power, not what's good for you and I, especially the Democrats who talk so good. Republicans tell you what they're gonna do, and will take your life. And if
don't
you
do a
still
damn
vote
thing.
for
Yes.
these idiots, I don't get it.
It's like Gorilla Pimp versus the
That's why we need a third party.
what's the other kind of pimp?
You
what's
got,
the-
you got gorilla pimps, and then you got them that pimp out their mouth.
Oh my God.
So the Democrats pimp out their mouth, and the Republicans are gorilla pimps.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly what it is. You got two kind of pimps. Now the thing is, I want to repeat a quote that I got from a guy on my other show, Inside Stepping. Something he said that stuck with me and it's going to stick with me. And this is what I'd like to say to all of those pro-choice, pro-life people in the world, both sides. I want you to remember what you should do this year. Spend the very first 6 months minding your own business. Spend the last 6 months staying out of other people's, and we'll all be so much happier. That's all I got, y'all. I ain't got no more.
Rent is too damn high to be in folks' coochie that you are not involved in. That's what they need to go worry about. Why are the shelves bare, Joe?
Right. We got other issues.
Because somebody
It was outrageous.
it's the Hunger
Housing
Games.
prices that went through the damn ceiling.
Oh, we didn't even discuss that.
What, the housing
I said
market?
And
We
they
need to
just
do-
was a whole big article today about evictions and mortgages. People are about to go into foreclosures and stuff.
Techno-feudalism.
Techno-feudalism.
Fussing about how the homes.
Yeah, it's all about what we talked about on that previous show. For those of you who have not seen it, go back on YouTube, look up the show on here on on the Black Factor. Techno-feudalism. We headed down a hole, y'all. If we're not careful, we're gonna be in a really weird place here coming up, and it ain't gonna be cute for nobody. I promise you. Y'all better get with the program. With
Please
that,
subscribe.
yes, please subscribe. Y'all hit that subscribe button on YouTube.
A lot of people
help
watch, but
help
they
a
don't
brother
subscribe.
out. Right,
Yes,
we
if
need
you
y'all.
want, the algorithm likes the likes, so likes and subscribe.
Yes, likes and subscriptions, y'all.
If you don't want to subscribe, like
the
the
damn
like the
thing.
show.
Oh yeah, give us some likes.
Donna Ross, I have a bone to pick with you, my dear. I have asked you to call me repeatedly. I'm going to ask you again, Donna Ross. I need to speak with you, please, ma'am. It is in regard to the area in which you live. Please, darling, dear, please give me a call. Please. And thank you. Donna, please call me. Donna, thank you. Donna, call me. Okay. All right. Enough of that. I just want to reiterate my point and give me a call.
Oh look, look at this thing talking about young men's erectile dysfunction
Oh my
is
God,
going
here
up.
we go. Anyway, we're not going down that rabbit
It's the
hole.
computers. They need to ride by
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Black Factor. I want to thank you for tuning in and hanging out with me and kicking in and having this conversation. Maybe between now and sometime in the future, we'll come up with a solution of some kind, or at least some idea of where we should be or where we need to go or what we can do. I don't know what we can do, but I do know, no matter how you feel about voting, it is your civic duty, and it is a necessity to do so, even if you go against what I may believe are not the right things. Whatever it is, vote your choice, because without that, Decisions are being made without your say involved at all. And your one little vote, yes, it does count. If your votes did not count, there would not be a group of people working so vigorously to take it away from you. Take advantage of the vote, y'all. Do what you got to do. With that said, I want to thank my co-host, Sister X. Thank you, Sister X, for coming and hanging out with me. And with all of that said, y'all, we're gonna end this evening. We're gonna see you all again on next Tuesday with Inside Step, and then next Wednesday with the Black Factor. In the meantime and in between time, I want everybody to have yourselves a fantastic weekend. Tell somebody you love them. Kiss the dog, kick the cat, do whatever you need to do.
Don't kick the cat.
Producer lady said, "Don't kick the cat." Okay, I'm a non-violent person, so well, maybe that. Anyway, pet the cat, kick the dog.
No.
Look, you don't want to kick the dog either.
No.
I bet if I say kick the snake, you'll be okay with that, won't
you? You can chop his head off.
See how I get? See what I'm saying?
The
Why
discrimination.
you? See, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly why we having this conversation. Your hypocrisy. You want to pet the cat and pet the dog, but you want to kick the snake. See.
I like the mammals.
See, that's the same attitude these people have about abortion. See, they want these people to get an abortion, but they will allow a man to go to the electric chair. See what I'm saying? Can't have it both ways. Pick a struggle. All right, y'all. It's been real, and y'all have a good night. Peace out.